Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the latest webinar in our Alumni webinar series. Today, we're delighted to have with us Rameez and Vigneshwar to talk about their experiences in college and what they're doing now. As always, please feel free to ask any questions you may have, and we'll pose them to the speakers at the end. So first, it'd be great if you both could introduce yourself. Vigneshwar, maybe you can go first, and then Rameez can introduce himself next.
Hey everyone, so my name is Vignesh and I am from the TISB 2017 batch. I'm currently studying medicine at the Hull York Medical School, and I'm going to take a year out to do a master's in anatomy. And besides that, I've got a lot of interest in things like surgery, research, global health advocacy, and things like that.
Hi guys, I'm Rameez. I graduated from TISB in 2006, so it's been a while now. I did my engineering in the University of Manchester, and I took a 3-year break. I worked and then did my master's in Warwick in manufacturing systems. So right now I work in my family business back home in Kerala, paint and logistics. So I'm actually doing nothing to do with what I studied. So, but yeah, that's what I do now. And yeah, I think we can get on with the work now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and it's great to have you both here. So, firstly, just to ask some general questions on college life. So why did both of you personally choose your college? Like, why did you choose the college you went to? So any of you can go first. It's
Rameez, do you want to?
Go for it, begin.
Okay. So the reason why I chose my university was a funny story, actually. So when I was first applying through the UCAS, as you guys may know, the UCAS only has 5 options, and for medicine, you can only choose 4 universities. So I basically had to rank my choices based on what I think I had the best shot at, essentially, based on my predicted grades, based on my UCAT results, and based on my personal statement. So I shortlisted 4 universities, and funnily enough, Hull York Medical School was at the bottom of the list for various reasons. One, that it was relatively young, so it didn't have a lot of history. Secondly, that they only had 11 places for international students. So I was a bit cautious. I didn't know whether I would get in. But I got a call back for interview from 3 universities. And that's really where I made my decision when I went for the interview, because I got to see the campus. So I experienced the campus life, what it's going to be like living in the city or in the university. Secondly, you can tell a lot about the university and about the curriculum through the interview process. So some universities have a very rigid interview process, panel discussion, and they're looking for specific things. So you can tell that the curriculum may not be very flexible. It's a very traditional curriculum. Hull York Medical School, on the other hand, was more of sort of a discussion-based interview process. They weren't just firing questions. They were really prioritizing how you were feeling and how the discussion was going, as opposed to, here's the question, what's your answer? So I really liked that approach. I really liked the friendly environment and the campus. So the interview process is where I made my decision. And I said, regardless of what the outcome is, this is the university I want to go to. So that's how I chose my university.
Initially, I wanted to go to the US as well, but my parents was very skeptical about me going far away from them. So they kind of asked me not to go far and, stay somewhere closer. And luckily, I got accepted to all the universities that I applied to. But then, the thing with UK is that, you tend to see where you're going to be located, student life and all those kind of things. And the options I had was London, Manchester, Liverpool, and Leeds, I think. And when I looked around, and I kind of liked the city of Manchester more. I think London was more expensive, and Liverpool and Leeds were not that, highly suggested by, the people who went before us. And to be honest, I was a big Manchester United fan as well, and it kind of, added bonus to the whole situation. And I think personally, we have to spend a lot of time trying to see where, the kind of cities that we're going to study in as well, especially if you're looking at the UK. so that it's a good environment for the students to be in, and you have options, and especially because you're going straight from school, right? And so that was it. I think when I like what Vignesh said, once I went through the options I had and what the city and the university was like, sometimes it kind of clicks, and that you don't want to. So yeah, that was it. I think Manchester. I really liked the city and the university, and the whole setup was really good. It was really student friendly as well. So.
Great, and it's nice to hear about how you guys took into perspective also the campus and how you felt at home there. So a lot of students from our school tend to go to the US, but I'm sure that UK has its own sort of advantages and differences which are better than the US. So what do you guys feel about that? Why did you choose the UK? And what did you feel were the advantages as compared to the US? So maybe Vigneshwar, we start with you and give Rameez a little bit of time to think.
Sure. So regarding why I chose the UK instead of the US, for me, I guess my choices were much simpler and than Rameez because I was doing medicine. So my only option was either go to the US and do a pre-med course followed by medicine, or jump straight into the medical course, which only the UK offers. So I just chose the shorter and more financially feasible option, which was the UK for medicine. And besides that, I think the UK is better for medicine than the US for a variety of different reasons. One being that whatever medical school you go to in the UK, it's for medicine, the university doesn't matter because the curriculum and your sort of learning points, what you need to know by the time you graduate, are given by the government and a government funded body. So literally wherever you go, the teaching methods may be different, but what they teach you will be exactly the same. And at the end of it, you'll all be sort of nationally ranked and placed in different hospitals. So I like that national system where it was all central. You get to choose where you go even after university. And also the healthcare system there is better. It's socialized healthcare. So you see a variety of patients. You don't just see sort of the tip of the iceberg, people who are able to afford healthcare and things like that. So there are a lot of intricacies into how the healthcare functions. So I would say in terms of medicine, the UK offers a better patient experience and a better learning curve than the US. So that's my reason for choosing the UK over the US.
When I went initially, I did a course which was just starting to come about. I did mechanical engineering with business management, so it was like a double major thing. And at that point of time, not a lot of the universities in the US or the UK kind of offered that. So my options were also limited at that point of time. And among the universities we actually offered, but only like the huge universities offered that, who had a good management school and a good engineering school. So obviously that played a role in me going. And like how Vignesh said that it was a 5-year to 6-year course in the US, because it was not filtered through as yet then. I don't know how it is now. So what I did was a 4-year course. So obviously I thought it was a more practical option to go. And secondly, during the time of I don't know how it works now, because I did represent the state in athletics. I used to do discus throw for the so I did do a lot of training at that point of time. So I really was underprepared for my SAT exams as well. So I didn't really do really well for my SAT exams. So it kind of fell into place, and I didn't because my SAT scores were not good enough. So I couldn't apply to a lot of the the really good universities in the US as well. And at that point of time, the principal actually supported me a lot as well, doing all the extracurricular activities when we were there. And a lot of things added up, like my parents saying, they suggested that I go somewhere closer and all those kind of things. And that was it. And like you said, I personally thought the way of teaching, or the curriculum what they offered. For example, first year of my degree was it was a step up for what we did in school. Like when you go through the curriculum in the US, I think, we still go back to a lot of things that we did in grade 12. And that's what adds to the extra year. So personally, I thought like the 4-year option was better than the 5-year one at that point of time. That's why I chose to go to the UK.
So that's great to hear both your perspectives on why you chose UK over the US. So for a lot of us as Indian students, there is a concern that there's not enough diversity. So would you say that your campus was very diverse with regard to international students? And as an Indian student, did you fit in immediately?
So I guess it depends on geography. So it depends on where you're placed in the UK. Places like London have a huge Indian population, and I'm sure places like Manchester, as Rameez would probably say, there's a huge Indian population. In fact, when I first landed in London, I was very confused because I saw more Indian people than Caucasian people. So I was like, are we in the right place? But as I went up to my university, which is further up north in York, York is generally considered a more quote unquote white city. So there's definitely less diversity, but it is growing, and the university is aware of that. And most universities in the UK, in these sort of geographic places where there's not a lot of diversity, are aware of that. So they personally try to make a bigger impact in these communities. So there are a lot of societies in these universities which you can join, such as Brit Asian Society or Indian Society, Tamil Society, Arabic Society. So there are a lot of these societies that show these cultures run by students from those countries. So yes, one, based on geography, there are more Indian people and people of other ethnicities in central locations like Manchester or London. But even if you go to other places with less diversity, the university does make a proactive effort in making sure you feel welcome, particularly as an international student.
See, like what Vignesh said, actually, Manchester is like now it's turned out to be like the ultimate student city now, because like 40,000 plus students in the city who go to the university, because the university is really big. And personally saying, like Manchester was really good. It's a perfect place for someone like someone from India can go to, because like you even have like Indian supermarkets, and you get a lot of options in terms of food and a lot of things to do. And see, like if you're a religious person as well, you have a variety of options of things to do, like your temple, your gurudwara, your mosque, whatever it is. You have the range. And like what Vignesh said as well, like you have when you have a lot more options to do things, and it gently tends to become more feasible and more cheaper for the students to live in. So I personally think Manchester, or like it was really easy to fit into, to be very honest, because there were a lot of Indians and people from all around the world. And luckily I got to stay with 7 locals in my first year, like 7 Britishers first year. But then then you make friends and whatnot. So Manchester, I think, even Warwick as well. Like I think a lot UK. In fact, it was really easy for me to fit into. And like what he's already said, there are a lot of societies as well who really help you, because as once they were freshers as well. So all the old students really want to help the new people who have come in. They tell you what to do, what not to do, where to eat, where to buy. So I think that was not an issue at all. You always have that option. I think Manchester was really good that way.
Actually, just to quickly jump in on that, because you said food, I need to comment on it because it was a big thing for me. Places like York, and I would imagine further up north, like Scotland, Ireland, the number of Indian restaurants and Indian supermarkets, you can count them by hand. That's how little they are. They are increasing, but that you may not think it's a big issue now, but once you go there, you'll start feeling homesick. You'll want home food again. So those opportunities are less than places like Manchester and London, and also religious places. there are not a lot of Hindu temples or mosques and things like that in York and other more northern cities. But like I said, with the student societies, there are also religious student-run societies. So there's a Hindu society, there's a Muslim society. So they help you in that sense as well, even if there are no temples. So those are also some things to consider.
Definitely, yeah. So definitely we need to sort of explore the opportunities that are there in terms of both sort of student-run facilities and also things that are in the city. So sort of on that note, how was student life like at your college? Were clubs and sports teams a big thing? What did you personally participate in?
So, well, to be very blunt, in the UK, there is a sort of big culture around drinking, pubbing, and clubbing. So, as a student, yes, those opportunities will be available. There are a lot of social nights, and the universities take a sort of proactive measure in making sure students feel safe, particularly in university cities where, like Rameez said, Manchester's got 40,000 students, and York, like 10 to 15% of the city population is students. So both the police, security forces, and the university itself take a very proactive measure in sort of student nights, social nights, to make sure students feel safe. Another thing regarding just student-run clubs and student-run societies. Before I went to university, I didn't know there were these many activities that you could be involved in. Just going to university, like, you will be mind blown by the number of activities you can participate in. There are more than hundreds of student-run societies, and they can range from like the most popular things like football, cricket, science like biology, physics society, to the weirdest and randomest things. For example, my university has a Taylor Swift society just to enjoy her music. So it's funny for me, but I guess there's a sort of element that everyone can participate in. And even if you can't find anything that fits your personality well, then all you have to do is just go ahead and start it yourself, and you'll find people. Because in university, we're talking about a population of 10,000 to 40,000 students. You're definitely going to find someone who's interested in the same thing as you are. And there are hundreds of things you can be involved in terms of student life, social nights, sporting events.
Like, I would personally suggest that, you guys should really like try and get something to do, because like what Vignesh said, there'll all be like the guys, like a FIFA society as well. People who just sit and play FIFA or Counter-Strike. Personally, like I used to play a lot of cricket in school as well, and when I went to university, I joined the university team and used to play. Used to play a lot, and I'm someone who doesn't drink. Okay, so they didn't hold it against me or anything, because they always made an effort so that I could fit in. I was always a designated driver, and so like it's I suggest that everyone whatever it is, try and find something to do, because see, unlike school, you will have a lot more free time because you're away from home and things like that. So to have some sort of a social side to your life is always important, so that you're occupied doing something. And I think it really helped me as well a lot that I got into one of these societies, because I tried for a lot of the sports teams, because I was from school, and there were far less students then than it is today. So I used to play all the sports in school, because I used to be a yearboarder as well. So I always used to think I was good at a lot of things, but obviously I was not. So got to play cricket in university, and personally, there's like what Vignesh said, there's a society for everything. So it really helped me. I made a lot of friends, a lot of local friends as well, and I got to know a lot about their culture. Because as Indians, we have a tendency to only like make friends with Indians, and it's not really good, because you're going all the way to the UK or the US, and you only grow as a person if you make friends from there as well. So joining these societies really helped me, and throughout the year as well, And like I said, every week there's some sort of a social event happening. You have a lot of fun. You get into a lot of trouble, but again, it's fun, because these things, stick with you. You remember this. So yeah, I think it really helps. A lot of the societies really help. Like there's like a film society who people just go to watch movies, and a lot of things. A lot more options than what we have in school now. So it's a really good option.
Thanks for sharing your perspective. And it's great to hear that there are so many avenues to explore our interests. So a lot of a major concern for us is that the student culture, what's the student culture like? So is it competitive or is there more focus on collaboration in general?
So regarding my university, I think I can only speak for my course, because for each university has a particular speciality. Like even within the department itself, they'll have particular research focuses. So they'll be like world leaders in a particular aspect of a particular department. So I guess when you're picking university, it's careful to see what they're leading in, and obviously what they're leading in would be the most competitive. But I can speak only for medicine. So as I said, medicine, regardless of the university you do it in, the second you enter UK, it's a national process. You're ranked against medical students across the UK. And medicine in general is a competitive course, but it depends on what you're thinking of specializing in the future. So say if you want to become a surgeon, say you want to become a neurosurgeon, that happens to be one of the most competitive specialties to get into after you graduate from medicine. So that requires you to be very proactive, build your CV, build your personality, constantly score high grades, and constantly engage in different research, different societies. So that requires a lot of effort, and it's highly competitive. But there are also other specialties that you may be interested in. There might be just sort of cardiology, general practice. They are also competitive, but they're less competitive than, say, for example, neurosurgery. So yes, medicine is competitive in the UK, but it's dependent on each person, what their future interests are. But at the end of the day, it is what you make of it in university. You're an independent learner. So you might still want to do something less competitive in the future, like say general practice in medicine, but you can still be the most competitive and the highest scoring individual. So it all just comes down to what you want to take out of your university experience.
In terms of what my experience was like, I think it's a lot similar to what we had in school, and I really respect that for the fact that our school was like the perfect stepping stone for me personally, as to when I went to university as well. Because as an engineering student, you have a lot of group work as well. You have a lot of design work, really fun work, designing cars and structures and whatnot. So you have a chance to collaborate, and that is really competitive. You get awards and you get your marks. And at the same time, initially it is competitive. But once you get to know your peers and all of those things, and then you tend to share a lot more, and you tend to help your peers. You tend to help other people, and other people help you. I think towards second year, third year, and fourth year is when you start to learn more as well. Because initially, you're really fresh out of school, right? So you're trying to do But I personally think once you start to collaborate, which happened a lot in my case, is when you start to learn a lot more as well. Because a lot more discussions and everybody who's listening, you learn a lot as well. See, once you in Vigneshwar, agree with me, the theory part of things are there, but there's a lot of importance to you understanding what you're studying. Trying to understand why, and it's not only about trying to put an answer to all the questions you get, and because you're with people from all around the world, and the way they approach things is different to what we do. So you get a huge chance. If you're with the Chinese people, they always have a way to simplify things, compared to us. And it's amazing because we tend to complicate things, and they really have they can help you, and it's all about how you approach your course as well. So yeah, I think Vignesh wanted to say something.
No, actually, I just wanted to say thanks for reminding me when you said sort of collaborative learning. That's when I was reminded. As I said before, for medicine, universities employ different teaching methods. So some universities may just sort of do lecture-based courses. So it's a purely lecture, morning to afternoon. You sit through lectures and then you go off to do independent learning or you do some group work. But then there's some medical schools, for example, mine, where it's less lectures and more something called problem-based discussion, where they give you a problem and then you in a group of 10 have to discuss it. And that's where majority of your learning comes out of. So what I personally enjoyed about my course is that because majority of our learning came from that group work, we got a real feeling of teamwork, and because we learned from each other, which means the other person had to do well for the whole group to do well. If one person didn't do work, then our learning gets affected. So we really started supporting each other, and it was good because we were all new to university. So we all started off equally lost, and then we all ended up making it through to the next few years. So that was really useful. But it also depends on your learning style. You may be someone who learns through group work. You may be someone who learns from your friends, but you may be someone who learns best from the teacher in the classroom. So you also need to be aware of what your learning style is, and then pick the curriculum that suits you the best.
Definitely, and I think it's great to hear that despite medicine things being so competitive, there still is this culture of collaboration through these other like activities, things you guys talked about. So maybe going on to the more academic side, how many hours of lectures and homework did you have per week? Was the workload manageable, and do you have any personal tips on keeping up with academic work?
So for medicine, in the first 2 years, on an average, I had about 2 to 3 hours of lectures every day. And in the afternoon, we had the 1.5 hour group discussion session where we learned from a problem. And then we had 1.5 hours of clinical skills session. So we will learn how to examine a patient, use the stethoscope and things like that. One day in every week was dedicated to research. So we could choose something that interested us and then research into it. In third year moving forward, it's less structured. So it was placement styled learning. So what happens is you're just placed in a hospital full time. You've got these learning activities that you need to take. So you basically go into hospital looking for these learning activities. So you say, I want to take bloods from a patient. I need 6 bloods. So you go into the hospital and then you get those ticked off. So the first 2 years, it's sort of structured. I would say 5 to 6 hours of learning every day. The second half of the course, so third, fourth, and fifth year, is less structured. It is what you make of it. They have learning points, but you're put into the hospital and you just learn what you want from the patients that are there and from the doctors and nurses that are there. And that's true for all medical schools in the UK.
I'll say add to what he said, like year 1, year 2 is like when you have a lot more learning in class. And first semester as an engineering student, you have you need to do at least 40 hours of study time. That's what they say. You don't have to be in class for 40 hours. They give you your reading material and things like that. And only in semesters 2 is when all the labs and everything starts for us, like as engineering students. And then year 2 is when it gets like the hardest, because they're trying to prepare you for what's in store for the other years. Because year 3 and year 4 you're supposed to do a lot of reading by yourself. But they give you everything that you require, but you have a lot of projects. So I think the UK kind of teaching is where they actually prepare you for what you're gonna see or what you're gonna do after your course. They try and it can be stressful at times. And see, what I just suggest is that you're going to a new city and you're by yourself. So I suggest that you guys attend your lectures without fail, and your seminars, like what Rameez said, your discussion part of things, because I think they always give you hints and suggestions as to what you're going to be examined on. They give you what your exams are going to be like and whatnot. And personally, like, doing past papers, exam papers is like what we did, before our mock exam in like 5E is exactly what happens in university as well. You do as many papers as you can before your exams, and you should be fine. You like learn a lot. So I think my biggest thing is, make sure you're in your class. Sign in attendance, and get all the lecture notes, and uh, just attend. Just attend. Be there, be present, and like go for your seminars. And like old students usually take your seminars, like PhD students and like master students. So they give a lot of suggestions, and like they tell you what to study, how to study, and how to do things. So it really helps you. It helps you like go through your years, and they give a lot of clues as to what kind of exams and questions will be asked when you're studying. So my biggest thing is attend your class. Don't miss. Okay, you're not going to be in school. You don't have your matrons or anybody asking you to go out, for your lectures or for attendance or registration. So just make sure you're in class, get all the notes. Let there be no surprises on the day of exam. So that's what I suggest. That's the best.
No, 100% agreed with you, because there's no one on your back asking you to go to class. So especially in first year, you'll be very tempted to just sleep late, wake up late, and then catch up later. But just wake up at 9 a.m., go to class, regardless of how you're feeling. Because if you sit there, you'll at least get 10% in. So you're reducing the burden on yourself. So just force yourself to go to those classes. And yeah, as Rameez said, use your seniors. Just use them, because they're always very helpful.
So that's some very important advice that we'll definitely keep in mind. So a lot of us also want to do internships or research as we study. So how did you find internships or research opportunities in your areas of study?
So this is actually quite interesting, because I was sort of, I like to stay connected to TRSP. So every year I see the students that graduate, see whether I can recognize anyone and congratulate them. And this year I was just having a look through the graduation, and so many of you have got so many internships and research and things like that. So I think the important thing to say is most of you are already far ahead of where I was in your shoes. So in terms of the course itself, yes, for medicine, there are a lot of opportunities for research. Research is one of the biggest components of medicine. So it actually comes under the curriculum itself. So you will be forced to do research. In terms of internships, because it's sort of a national course as such, there are no internships. After second year or third year of your medical school, you will technically be in an internship, because you'll be in the hospital full time. So that is considered your work experience. So they don't expect you to take the summer off to go and work in a hospital as such, because you will be working in that hospital through your course for the second half. In terms of research opportunities, as I said, the course itself offers you some basic opportunities, but it is down to you how much you want to take, because as I said, these are high educational institutes. So the lecturers who come to lecture you are actually world leaders in their field. They're like, for example, one of my lecturers happened to be sort of close friends or co-workers with the person who won the Nobel Prize a few years ago. So it's actually mind-blowing, the people who come to lecture you. These people are the ones actively like writing your textbooks and creating knowledge in that area. So there are basic opportunities, but it all comes down to you. If you think something's interesting, what I do is I just go and talk to the person and say, I find this really interesting. Can I get involved? How can I get involved? How can I become better at this particular topic? And most of them, I would say 90% of them, are very helpful. Obviously, like the 10% who aren't very into education, but that's true for any university. So that's the thing. Just these lecturers are world leaders in their fields. So just go and talk to them, and you'll have a wealth of opportunities available to you.
Yeah, like I think internships initially, I think probably after year 2 is when all the internships will probably start to consider you as like as undergraduate students. But then all the universities have a really good career website as such. All the listings are always up there, so you can always apply through your online portal and things like that. And the notice boards as well, of your faculty office also, they'll usually have some sort of listings. See, like unlike Vignesh, as engineering students, your options are a lot more. So you need to rely on something outside the university as well to, probably give you. And because, Manchester was close to a lot of, manufacturing and a lot of other things like engineering, you had a lot of options. And like, for example, like if you're really into like academics and stuff, like what Vignesh said, you always have a personal tutor, which is given to you in the UK universities, who's supposed to help you. So, like, they can help you find an internship. They'll point you towards where you should be looking at. And some of your lectures as well, like what Biggie said, like they're really like okay to have them under their wings, and they'll start prepping you for next year. They'll send you into labs to do their work, and like a variety of options are there to do internships in the UK. But I personally suggest that get registered to the university careers website, because all the listings are up there, and like it's up to you actually to go out there